Namaste and welcome once more. Here is another part of self-improvement. We must remember that one of the most important pillars of self-improvement is developing our character. As Swami Vivekananda said, character building is the cornerstone of any learning, any education. So for the next few episodes, let us talk about some of the aspects of improving our character. Because if we attempt to improve our character ourselves, then obviously self-improvement is a part of it. Today, let us talk about the concept of sacrifice. Sacrifice is one important pillar of self-improvement. It is also very important for right development of character traits. It's a very powerful and very significant point which all of us need to practice. But as is possible with everything else, it has a positive and a negative dimension also. Let us talk about these one by one. Self-sacrifice would mean we give up something with the hope that some good result will come out of it. The good result need not always devolve on ourselves. It might be good for somebody else when we make a sacrifice, or a larger sacrifice by a group or community or a nation might help the entire humanity, or some sacrifice might help all created beings. So we have to remember that the means and the end, both are important in sacrifice. What is the process which we are adopting? What are we doing? What are we sacrificing? And what is that which is the end result of the sacrifice? We need to remember this. That is the only way in which the sacrifice can be legitimized. Now, we can have sacrifices. Usually, if you look for sacrifice, you will find that people talk about religious sacrifices. We have the concept of giving bali, for instance. We have the concept of sacrificing an animal. That is there. Then you have sacrifice in almost all religions. Some sacrifice or the other, fasting, etc., giving up a particular thing. That is sacrifice. That is the religious concept of sacrifice. Then we have the moral dimension also. Coming out of religion or rituals of religion, which all indicate sacrificial dimension, we have the ethical or the moral sacrifice. This also we find very often. There are many concepts where moral sacrifices are made. What is morally right and what is morally wrong. Today, we also use a term like politically correct. That also falls in this category because what is politically correct is what we can say, what we are allowed or what we can easily say. What is better not to be said or better not to be done is politically incorrect. So that also is a sacrifice. That ability to choose, that itself is sacrifice. This is very important. And then, of course, at the personal level, today here is where my focus is. We are talking about self-improvement. This entire series is self-improvement. So in self-improvement, we need to look at the personal dimension of sacrifice. The religious, we all know. The moral also we encounter very often. But it is the personal sacrifice which we need to keep in mind, which we need to practice. And we need to legitimize also. Because unless we are aware of what we are doing, what we are sacrificing, is it a worthwhile sacrifice? These are all significant points. we need to remember. So, as usual, I would like to give you some examples. Most of us are familiar with the Bhagavad Gita. We all say, oh, Bhagavad Gita, spiritual text, scripture, we say. But we never find out what is there in the Bhagavad Gita which can teach us to live a better life. Remember that this was a conversation in a field of battle. So if you take your life also as a field of battle, if you think of yourself in this battlefield called life, then what are the significant pointers which Lord Krishna is giving to the individual person, to the human soul, that is Arjuna? From here, we can learn many things about sacrifice. For instance, when we say that we do something with the expectation of a return, if we do something well, you do your examination well, you expect good marks. You do your job well, you expect an increment or a promotion or a bonus. So all the time we are doing work with expectation. But what does the Bhagavad Gita say? It says, do the work, karmanyevadhikaraste. Now, don't look at the result. You do the work and you give it to the Lord. You sacrifice it. That means you are giving your work, your entire energy to that work, but the result, the fruit of that work is not something which you are accepting. You are sacrificing. You are giving up. We have a beautiful story of Holy Mother Sharda Devi. She gives a fruit to a holy person on the banks of River Ganga. She says, I give you this fruit and I give you also the fruit of this donation, the fruit of this action. That means the fruit of this action, if you give somebody some alms, some help, then that is good. You will get a good result. The fruit of that action is excellent. But the mother does not want that fruit. She says, I give you this physical fruit. I also give you the fruit that is that which comes from the good action. So it's a beautiful story. You all can read that. It is a very significant point. What is she doing? She is sacrificing. She is not accepting the good result of a good deed. She's done a good deed by giving a fruit to a holy person, but she's not accepting the fruit. She's not hankering for the fruit. She's not saying, I'm giving you the fruit because I want to do a good job. So whenever we do good also, we need to sacrifice. All fruits have to be given as sacrifice. We usually give, in puja, we give so many things, but we don't sacrifice ourselves. We don't sacrifice our jobs, our work, which we are doing. The result of that, the fruit of that, we never sacrifice. So that is what the Bhagavad Gita says. It also says that we have to sacrifice our attachment to the senses. Our senses are greatly distracting. You hear a wonderful song or you hear a wonderful recitation, something which you like, something which you enjoy. That sound immediately distracts your mind from the job you were doing. You were doing something important, but your mind was taken away from that important thing because of your senses, your attraction for your senses. Huge attraction we have towards our tongue, good food. Some people live to eat. We are supposed to eat to live. This is a very famous quotation everybody quotes. Some people live to eat. That means their entire life is spent, now I'm going to eat like this, tomorrow I will eat like this. These are the things I love eating. I must get these things, and so on. That is why we find that, there are so many eating joints today. Try to think of 50 years, 100 years back, how things were. People were not so concerned about eating, not so many varieties of food, etc. So we have a lot of things to sacrifice here. That is our attachment to senses. Eyes, attractive things. We keep looking at things which are attractive. You are walking on the road, somebody keeps staring at you. You feel embarrassed, you feel uncomfortable. Why is that person staring? Because that person has found something which is attractive in your clothes, your appearance, whatever. So no control over the senses. We need to sacrifice this attachment to the senses. The touch, the feel, all these things we need to sacrifice. That is what the Bhagavad Gita tells us. It also tells us we have to sacrifice our desire for name and fame. A person who's a sthita prajna does not move around at all. So like that, you go on reading the various shlokas, you find that it has practical, ideas about how to live. It's a very practical text. You follow each of the shlokas, you find that, it's not only about religion, about God or anything. It's about how to go about life properly in order that we get the final thing. I told you already, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So finally, we are going through dharma to moksha, encountering all the other two also. But as we go ahead, we keep sacrificing them one by one. Like as we grow physically, we sacrifice our childhood because we want to become young. Then we become youth. We sacrifice our youth because we become middle-aged. Then we sacrifice middle years because we become old. And then we sacrifice the body because the soul is released and the body dies. So one by one, nature is compelling this sacrifice. We have no choice in it. Now look at the sacrifices which are made by choice. These days there is a lot of conflict in our systems of working and systems of living. Look at the ancient tradition. I'm talking about women in the ancient tradition. We had what is called as the grihini, the housewife, the ardhangini, who used to be the manager of the house. And then you have the brahmavadini, who would sacrifice the household life, the life of marriage and progeny, in order to become scholarly. She could devote herself to Brahma Vidya. She could devote herself only to study and to scholarship and to spiritual benefit. Not only spiritual benefit personal, but spiritual benefit of the entire society. So this was the balance. On one side, the householder, and on the other side, the renunciate. We have also the sadhus and the family people. This was the kind of division. Similarly, we had divisions of, the work which people did. But today it has a very bad name. We say, caste exploitation or caste oppression and so on. What began only to keep balance in society. So we have to sacrifice something in order to get something else. That is what it tells us. We can take the example of Sister Nivedita. Sister Nivedita used to teach and live in London. She was doing a very good job. Even at a young age, in her teen age, she became a very popular teacher. And she learned many of the new techniques of teaching which were popular in Europe at that time. But suddenly she realized that her goal is to serve the motherland of her guru, that is India. So she was willing to sacrifice her life. Swami Vivekananda told her that here the climate is very hot. It is not like climate in England. Can you survive? So she's sacrificing physical comfort. Here food is different. You cannot get the kind of food you get there. If you go to England, you'll find it difficult to eat. Indians would find it. Similarly, people from there will find our food difficult. The housing, the way in which people accept you, all these will be different from what you have known. Nivedita was willing to sacrifice. She sacrificed everything which was familiar to her to choose the unfamiliar, the unknown, because for her, the means was sacrificing whatever she knows. The end was serving India, serving the motherland of her Guru, Swami Vivekananda. So this teaches us lessons of sacrifice. Like that, you find many examples. Every great person's life, every successful person's life is a story of sacrifice. You want to achieve anything in life, you want to go ahead in life, you need to sacrifice. Sometimes we have to sacrifice our mental attitudes. Sometimes we have to sacrifice our physical needs. These days, need is not so much as greed. So we have to get rid of it. Whenever people say that this college or this university is successful, how do they say? They say, oh, our students get placements with lakhs of rupees salary package, crores of rupees salary package. Now that is greed. We don't need so much. We have forgotten to identify how much we need. So we have to sacrifice this mindset that if you get more money, you are more successful. If you get less money, you are less successful. These all need to be sacrificed. So we know as an individual, as a person, as a single human being, what we can sacrifice. So now let me tell you a little about the ways in which we can go about with our sacrifices. How should we practice this? That is the idea which I'm going to put forward now in a few words. Now I'm sharing my ideas. Please remember that although I'm sharing my ideas, you might have much better idea. I found a comment in the writing as therapy part by saying that I did not give any hints for writing skills as such. That's a wonderful comment. I feel very happy when you make a comment like that. I was looking through all the old parts and their comments in the last week when I had some time. So I could reply to some of your comments. I was very pleased with your comments. So what we are doing here, we are trying to find out what we have, what is it that we have which is worth sacrificing? And what good will it bring for us? What is it that I have worth sacrificing? I already told you in some part, I'm sure, that, Sri Ramakrishna said that if you have money, you can donate money. That will be your spiritual benefit. If you do not have money, you donate your prayers. So what are we sacrificing? We are not sacrificing the prayer, we are not saying, please God, give me this, give me that, and so on. We're saying that, God, I'm praying for the whole world. I'm praying for everybody. We are sacrificing our selfish prayer in order to get universal prayer. We are sacrificing the desire to pray only for asking for things. Instead, what are we doing? We say, thank God we have so many wonderful things. I remember in school, we used to sing a Christian hymn. It is there on YouTube, you can listen. Count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. See, we don't count our blessings. We want more and more. God, give me more. God, give me more. But look at what we already have. So the sacrifice of the demanding prayer to be replaced by a sacrifice of a prayer of gratitude. This kind of an analysis we have to do. Yes, we are doing puja every day. We are doing prayer every day. But are we really sacrificing? something in that prayer? Are we sacrificing our personal things, our selfish motives? And are we doing it for everybody? So this way, this analysis becomes very important. Now we have to identify what good qualities we have, which we can sacrifice for the others. Suppose you are very helpful in nature, then you can give that helpful nature not only to help yourself, but to help others. So your quality of helpfulness is being sacrificed. It is not being directed towards yourself. It is being given to others. If you have the ability to sing, if you have the ability to paint, don't do it for personal satisfaction. Do it for others. You know, you create a beautiful thing. Don't do it because you want to earn money out of it. Instead, what you do is you have to give it to somebody else. This ability, whatever good qualities we have, can we use these good qualities for the benefit of others, not only for, climbing the ladder of life by saying, oh, I have so many good qualities. I'm so brilliant. Let me become higher and higher and higher in my life. No, can you use that brilliance for the benefit of others? Sacrifice your time to teach people. Sacrifice your time to enlighten people. I remember a young boy saying that every morning I go and sit at the bus stop. Many poor children were begging there. Now I make them sit and learn the alphabet. I said, oh, that's wonderful. He was just a young boy, 17, 18-year-old boy. Imagine the excellent idea of sacrifice. That morning walk, I finish, I sacrifice half an hour. I teach some children because I'm an educated person. So we need to do like that. Now, there are many negatives, as the Bhagavad Gita told us, many negatives in us which need to be given up. So we tend to sacrifice. If you are impatient, you need to sacrifice it by cultivating patience. If you get angry very easily, you need to sacrifice your anger by constantly practicing how to control your mind not to feel angry. If you are, very cruel to people, many people without, knowing that they are being cruel, they are usually very cruel to people. The way they talk or the way they keep silent, all these indicate it. So we have to sacrifice that cruelty by cultivating kindness. So negatives, if we can spot, I told you in the second part, self-analysis. Now you can see, combine self-analysis with sacrifice, you will find you get excellent results in this. And then, as I told you already, now why are you sacrificing? That also you have to know. You sacrifice, you find small children, sharing their lunch. Now, why are you sacrificing? Oh, because tomorrow somebody will bring good lunch and give it to me. Now, that's not good at all. That is expectation. That is not sacrifice. That is, a business. It's like commerce. I give and you give. So we should never have that kind of idea. Now, we have to sacrifice, as Bhagavad Gita said, without expectation. This sacrifice is important. So you share your lunch with somebody, a young child shares lunch with somebody who has no food, not because he or she expects anything, but because he or she is willing to sacrifice food that day. Okay, I don't want to eat today because I eat wonderful things at home. This child doesn't have food, so I will give. This kind of a means to an end. What is the end here? The end is only that you are giving up what you have. The means are that you are giving because you want to sacrifice, not because you have expectations of something which is being sacrificed. This happens very often in our life. People give gifts to each other because they expect similar gifts when occasion comes from the others. They say, how much of a gift or how much money should I spend on somebody's gift? Very often find people asking this. Remember the past, all these years? How much money did that person spend on a gift to me? Did that person ever give me a gift? Then I will give, measuring it, as though you are weighing it and giving. So what is happening to you? You are not sacrificing. You are not giving because you want to give. Sacrifice is giving, but this sacrifice is not like that. Very often we do sacrifices because we have ulterior motives. Somebody who earns in a, way which is incorrect, in a way which is not proper, not righteous. That person says, oh, no problem. I have earned by cheating. Now I'm going to give 10% of my earnings to the God I go and put in the hundi. Now all my bad deeds are wiped out. So what are you doing? You are not sacrificing. You are doing business with God by saying, God, I'm giving you 10%. So please see that all my sins of cheating everybody are wiped out. That is not sacrifice. That is not. We have time. We have material possessions. We have qualities which are God-given. We have resources which we might have acquired or earned for ourselves. All these can be sacrificed if you find a legitimate goal for the sacrifice. You need not sacrifice it just because you want to sacrifice where the end result is terrible. Very often, in our culture, they say that if somebody is begging, you have to give them money. This became a terrible crime so that they would kidnap small children, break their hands and legs or maim them, pull out their eyes, etc., and put them for begging, because begging became a business. So that is no sacrifice. If you give money to such a beggar, you are not doing anything great. You are encouraging a criminal who is torturing little children, who's torturing innocent people and making them, beg. So we have to also contemporize our traditions, our beliefs. Earlier, they would say that, the saffron robe, what we call as the gerua, that is supposed to be very holy. But today, that has come into a lot of criticism. I remember once I was sitting and waiting in the airport. Once Swamiji came, he went to a food stall, and the boy at the food stall stopped serving everybody and served Swamiji first. He never asked. He was served because he was wearing that saffron robe. Immediately, the manager of that stall came and scolded this boy by saying, how dare you serve him first? So what we realize? We realize that that saffron color has lost some of its value. Some people value it, some people don't value it. The reason is because people are misusing it and saying we have sacrificed. That wearing that saffron shows the highest sacrifice, that is renunciation. If we remember these ideas, we will understand what is sacrifice. Sacrifice is not an external dimension, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, if you put a real tika and go, you are not a religious person. You have to cleanse your mind. Kabir Das says that in your mind, you are constantly thinking how you will do bad things. And in your hand, you are turning the rosary. So these are not elements of sacrifice. We are not sacrificing our time, our effort, our energy, our capabilities, or our material goods when we have a negative result. So the means and the end, these are very important. Now, when we are used to sacrificing, from small age, we should learn this, ability to sacrifice. Sharing, among siblings is a great sacrifice lesson which parents teach. If you have 2 or 3 brothers and sisters, they say you get one piece of sweet, you share it with everybody. You get one toy, you share it with everybody. That is how sacrificing is learned. Otherwise, we become very selfish. So small children, when we teach this sacrifice, then lifelong, they have to revise it and they have to renew it. So when we also learn sacrifice, when you listen to my ideas and you start practicing, or you supplement these ideas with your own ideas of sacrifice, recollect all your past experiences of your sacrifice, then what you will understand is very clear, that sacrifice has been a part of your life. You have done it sometimes, of course, sometimes reluctantly, by compulsion, sometimes willingly and eagerly. These are all beneficial, and great self-improvement comes. As I told you, this is a character building exercise. For few parts now, we will take up one by one topic of character building, because no self-improvement comes unless we have a strong character. I have told you about mental, physical, behavioral, everything. Now I'm talking to you about very, very important part of self-improvement, and that is character building. So today we did the first of them, and that is sacrifice. I'm sure all of you will be able to analyze the sacrifices you have made. We've all been making sacrifices. It's a regular thing. But sometimes the sacrifices are misdirected. Sometimes they get a good result. So thank you very much, and namaste to all of you till we meet again.